Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our second Recruit XU Lunch and Learn session. My name is Valerie Jacobson, and I serve as the Director of Career Development here at Xavier University. Today's session is focused on helping employers to maximize their use of the Handshake platform. And whether a new or experienced Handshake user, we really believe that there's something for everyone in today's session. Before we begin, I do have a few housekeeping items to share with all of you. First, today's session is being recorded. We'll be sure to post the recording on the Recruit XU website so you can review it at another time or share it with colleagues who weren't able to attend today. Recruit XU is designed to be a lunch and learn, and we absolutely encourage you to please enjoy your lunch during today's session. It's absolutely okay to have your camera off and simply listen in. But that said, we do want to hear from you and answer your questions as they arise. So while we do ask everyone to keep to stay on mute throughout the session, just to kind of reduce the distraction of competing noises, we welcome you to plug your questions into the chat, and we'll make every effort to get to all of them. And with those housekeeping items out of the way, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Nadia Logan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to those who may be returning and any new employers who are joining us today. Welcome you to Maximizing the Handshake platform. I am Nadia Logan, the Senior Assistant Director for Employer Relations here at Xavier University, and I oversee the Employer Relations team here. And just to recap from last week, because we did go through and do introductions, this is our employer relations team, myself, Kim Deal, Rachel Dieter, Alex Vest, and Valerie Jacobson, all assist with employer relations and work with employers in some capacity. And today's session will actually be led by myself, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, as well as Buddy. We welcome Buddy. He is from Handshake, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Buddy Henika from Handshake, pronouns he, him, his. I have been at Handshake for roughly the past 8 months. Before coming to Handshake, though, I actually have been in the early talent recruiting industry for 7 years now. Before coming to Handshake, I led a campus recruiting team, was a campus recruiter, was a recruiter, so sort of been in all capacities of recruiting function in early talent. So happy to be here and happy to help support today's conversation.
All right, thank you, Buddy. And Buddy is here as we go through Handshake. I'll be doing a demonstration from the employer perspective so you guys can just see the different functionalities of Handshake. And so Buddy is here in case there are questions that I do not know the answer to. Buddy can answer those for you. So Handshake, what is Handshake and how can you utilize Handshake? Handshake is where you can post your internships, your full-time opportunities and part-time jobs in a centralized location. Students at Xavier utilize Handshake to look for opportunities, look for employer events that are happening, whether that's on campus or virtually. They also utilize Handshake to schedule their career coaching appointments. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for us. For employers, you can also utilize Handshake to manage candidate applicants. So if you're interested in doing on-campus interviews, those can be held virtually or on the actual campus. We have interview room suites for that. You actually can go ahead and schedule and book with us for the interview room suites. So you can utilize Handshake to manage your on-campus interviews, submit campus requests. So information sessions, information tables, things of that nature. You can request those events in Handshake, and I'll go through that in the demonstration. As I mentioned before, coordinating interview schedules and requests on campus interview space. And then you will also utilize Handshake to register for your career fair. So we ask you to go ahead and connect with us if you haven't already connected with us on Handshake. And we'll make sure that you are able to maximize the platform as much as possible. And so from here, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the demonstration. Feel free to eat your lunch. As Valerie said, we don't have to see your face. If you have questions, feel free to put questions in the chat as we go through, and we'll be sure to answer those throughout. So let me go ahead and switch my screen. All right, can everyone see my screen? Awesome. All right, so this is the home screen for employers who have a Handshake account. So here you can see all jobs that have been posted for your organization. So since I work for Xavier, you can see that the jobs that have been posted, these are all the different jobs that we have on campus for on-campus employment. You can also see any interviews that you have scheduled with schools. So I did create a demonstration job as well as an interview schedule so that I can walk through that with you guys. So you can see your interviews that you have at different schools, as well as any upcoming events that you'll be doing at different schools. So whether that's an information table or information session, all of that you'll be able to see here on your home screen. And these are just quick links at the top: post a job, request an interview, create an event. These are quick links that you can click to be able to do these different functionalities, but there are also other ways within the platform that you can also post a job, request an interview, and create an event. Also, if you scroll down to the bottom here, it'll show you any upcoming career fairs that you have going on. So I haven't registered for any career fairs. So had I registered for any career fairs, you'll be able to see that. But you can click on this link to be able to see all upcoming career fairs that are going on. So this is for all schools. If I have a specific school that I'm interested in, I can type that in here. So I'll type in Xavier University because we do have a career fair coming up next week. And we are Xavier University of Cincinnati, Ohio. We do get confused with Xavier University of Louisiana. So just make sure you click Cincinnati, Ohio. And this will show you all of the fairs that we have going on. So our virtual career fair is next week. The postgraduate volunteer fair is coming up in October. Part-time job fair is coming up in October, and then our spring 2022 part-time job fair. So I'm gonna go back home and go ahead and go to my profile. So this is gonna be your personal profile, and you'll wanna make sure as employers that you fill this information in, because as you're messaging students or trying to reach out to students, it's good for them to be able to see who is contacting them. We tell our students to make sure that, we do the best that we can to make sure that employers are legitimate employers when we're approving them, but we also tell students to do their own research. So having a profile set up kind of lets students know, like, okay, this is a legitimate employer when they're actually going through and looking for opportunities. So you'll want to make sure that this information is filled in. You don't have to put your work experience. You can if you would like to, but as you can see, I put the bare minimum there. So I work at Xavier University as the Senior Assistant Director in Education. And then for external links, I put my LinkedIn link here. So when students click on this, it'll take them to my LinkedIn profile and they can connect with me there as well. And then this is just my information. So students can see this also.
Another important piece of that, Nadia, as well, is as we look at that, as students register at the career fair and RSVP schedules or set up time to talk to you as the employer, your name, photo, and title are right above the schedule as well, so they know who they're booking times with. So if there's multiple people attending the career fair from your company, it would show the name and title, so they know who they're booking time with. They can do a little bit more research on you as well. So especially in the virtual space, this profile section is even more valuable.
All right, so moving on to company profile. And as I mentioned, I'm just gonna go along this side panel in order. So your company profile is gonna be the organization that you work for. So Xavier University, because I work for them, this is the company profile. This is where students can look at the company profile. They can also check out any reviews that students have left. So students that have worked for your organization can put reviews out there for other students who might be interested in your company. And they can read those reviews to just get some advice on, what was the environment like or what they did and if it's something that would be a good fit for them. And then also, you can see over here any highlights. You can respond to the reviews. So if that's something that you wanted to, you see students commenting and you say, thanks for the review, we really appreciate it, you can do that as well. All right, moving on to jobs. So this is going to be the page where any job that has been posted with your organization, you'll be able to see that. Whether it's active, expired, you'll be able to see the jobs that have been posted. We post a lot of jobs because we have a lot of on-campus employment, so you'll see on-campus employment here, but you can check out the jobs based off of whether or not they're active, if they're expired. This is also where you can go in and create a job as well. So as I mentioned, on the home profile, you can click that big blue button to create a job posting, but you can also go into this tab and click on create a job as well. So I actually created a demo job posting, and these are in order based off of when they were created, most recently. So I'm going to click on this demo job posting that I created. And so this is what it looks like. It's not expired. It'll be expiring today because I wanted to make sure students didn't actually apply to this. So this is a demo job posting. This is the basic information. But when you're creating the job, I'm just going to go into edit so that you can see what goes into creating your job. So what you'll want to do here is check off whether or not you want students to apply in Handshake or apply through external systems. And I believe Buddy has some insights, some best practices on whether or not to submit an application through Handshake or externally, but I'll let him talk more about that after I go through this. But you'll want to have your job title, the company division, if you have a division at your organization, allow students to view or message you. You can opt into that or opt out, what type of job it is, and whether it's full-time, part-time, permanent, temporary, and if it's a work study job. Work study jobs are usually on-campus employment at schools for students who are eligible for work study. So next, you'll want to put in any details about your organization. This is very brief because it's a demo. And then just how many students are you expecting to hire for the position? And then whether or not it's paid or unpaid. Here at Xavier, we require all positions be paid unless you are a nonprofit organization or a public sector organization. So aside from that, all positions have to be paid. You put your location in here, whether or not you allow remote workers. And then you can also require any documents that you like. So if you want to require a cover letter, you can check off that, your transcripts, and any other documents. So that's optional on what you would like to require, but we encourage our students to submit a resume and a cover letter as well. So these are going to be your preferences. So whether or not you want certain students who have graduated at a specific time, you can put that information in here. All of this information is optional. So whether or not you want to choose school years is optional, GPA is optional, majors is optional. But I will say that if you do check off any of these boxes, your position or job will only be visible to those students who qualify for the position. So if you don't have anything checked off in these boxes, it'll be open to all students. But if you do have stipulations, then it will only show to those students who qualify for the position. And students will actually be able to see whether or not they qualify. But there are sometimes students who are like, I'm really interested in this position, so they might want to reach out to you to see if there's a workaround around being able to apply. And then you can also choose your applicant package recipient. So you can choose whether or not you want all of your applications to come through at one time or as they're coming in. You can choose that option as well. As students apply, you'll get a notification letting you know that someone has applied for the position. And then for schools, this is going to be whether or not you want your job posting to post to multiple schools, or if you just wanted to post to just one school. So that's going to be your global posting. So if you wanted to post to Xavier, to UC, to Miami, you could put all of those schools in here and put a global apply start date and a global expiration date. I will say that if you do a global posting and you make any edits to it, it will edit across the board. So you'll want to be mindful of that. If you're maybe specifically gearing a position towards a certain school, you'll just want to be mindful that any edits that you make will be will change globally, but if you're wanting to do something specific, you might want to make like a separate job posting for that individual school. And then this is just a preview. You can preview your job posting. It goes through and just tells you everything that you put in. And from there, you would click next and save. So I'm just going to cancel because it's already saved. And this is actually connected to an interview schedule too. So that's pretty much the job posting. Buddy, is there anything you would like to touch on?
Yeah, a few best practices that I would recommend here. First off, making sure you're adding the apply externally link in there as well. So when you're posting the job, what you're gonna do there is copy and paste just your career page posting of the job into the Handshake posting itself. That way we're getting the candidates to your applicant tracking system and they're not just staying in Handshake where you'd have to pull them out eventually. Next up, under that job description piece, make sure that you're putting in there, make sure you complete the application once clicking apply. Sometimes students do click apply and think that that's it, that they don't have to complete the application once clicking apply externally. And then the other piece I would recommend as well is there is the resume checkbox that does come automatically checked. If they are going your applicant tracking system, I would actually uncheck that because what is happening in that instance is students are actually uploading the resume in Handshake, and then they're going to again have to upload their resume and cover letter again on your applicant tracking system. So it's almost doing double the work for the student. Sometimes the student thinks, once they upload their resume on Handshake, they think that they're done as well. So those are just a few pieces. Another thing that I would like to call out when it comes to adding schools to a job posting as well. If you have a job posting, for example, in New York City, but you don't add Xavier University to that job posting, those Xavier students will never see the job posting. So just be cognizant. And we always recommend to add all schools or add, the majority of your schools that you recruit at, potentially your core school list, to the job posting itself, even if it's not in that specific school location, because there may be a student who goes to Xavier who wants to live in New York City long-term, or has plans to move there after college. So just want to point out that even though a school may not be in a specific location, that I would still add all schools or recommend adding a long list of schools and not just the schools in that area.
I want to jump in and clarify one thing too. So I serve in kind of a dual role. I help coordinate career fairs, and then I also serve as a career coach. But one thing I did want to note, so when you're adding those preferences for a job posting, it actually doesn't prevent students from seeing it. So even if you said, oh, I only want seniors to apply, juniors, first years, sophomores, anybody will be able to see that position. It won't prevent them from seeing or applying, but they will be able to see that they don't meet the preferences for the position. And depending on how they filter out, there is a way to filter on the student end. And I tell students to do this because otherwise they see way too many jobs and it makes it way easier for them to filter. But there is a filter that says matches all employer preferences. So when they use that filter, they're only going to see the positions that said that the employer would hire them. So if they're a marketing major who's a junior with a 2.8 GPA, if you had, any restrictions on any of those things, they wouldn't see that position. But if they remove those filters, they would be able to see that. And this is just kind of an important distinction. So this does differ from career fair qualifications. So for a career fair, if you're registering and you're setting a schedule there, you actually can set qualifications, and that would prevent students from scheduling you. So kind of tricky there, but I did just want to make a note that anybody can see the position. It doesn't prevent them from seeing it.
Rachel, that's a good point as well. And we actually made a recent update under this applicants tab, which is essentially right in the middle of your screen, be the fourth tab over next to details. And now when a student meets your preferences, you'll get a green checkbox next to that student, so you know they meet all your preferences. And let's say you have 3 preferences: GPA, major, and grad year. It'll say, hey, they met 2 out of 3, or if they meet all 3 out of 3 in this instance, you would see a green checkbox next to that student as well. So we try to make it as easy as possible for students who do meet your preferences.
All right, thank you guys for that information. That's even very helpful for me, because while I know a lot about Handshake, sometimes I'm still learning, and Handshake is always updating their platform. So that's good information to know. All right, so moving on to search students. So this is where employers can see all students from all schools that you are. I don't believe you have to be connected to them to see all of the students. But if you were wanting to see students from a particular school, you can go ahead and type in that school over off to the side here. So Xavier University of Cincinnati, Ohio. And these are going to be all of our students that are in the Handshake platform. And that is going to be current students as well as alumni. And so this is where you can also message any students. So with the core package, I know that you get 100 messages that you can send to students, and that's across the board. But with the premium package, you have unlimited messaging. So you might utilize the messaging system to reach out to students to say that they are a great fit for the job. And so you would be interested in them applying for the position, or if you know you're going to be on campus doing an information table, you can reach out and say, hey, I'll be on campus on this day. I'd love to see you stop by, grab some swag, grab some snacks, and go from there. So I actually am an alumni of Xavier, so I have a student account as well. So I'm just going to type my name so you guys can see what that looks like. So here I am. And you can message students by either clicking these two bubbles over here, or you can go to the student's profile, and this would be the student's profile. You can see their graduation date, their major, and then I actually messaged myself so you guys can see what that looks like from the student perspective. But over here, it'll tell you that if you haven't messaged any students, it'll let you know you only have 100 if you have the core package. The premium package, you have unlimited. And so if you message a student once and you message them again, that does not count against your 100 if you only have 100 messages available. It is every time you connect or message a new student, that's going to deduct from your 100 messages that you have available. But you can add any notes in here about the student. Like if you think they'd be a really good fit, you can put notes in here. You can view those notes later. Students can opt in to have their profile public or private. We often recommend that students have a public profile so that employers can reach out to them. But this is essentially their resume. So they should have all of this information available. They can also make their resume, cover letters, any documents they have uploaded, they can make those available to you to be able to see as well. All right, so I'm going to move on to schools very briefly. This is just your school network management. So any schools that you're connected to are going to show in your favorites. And then your employer schools, these are all the schools that are on Handshake. And you can add any school that you would like to your favorites as well. I think that's it on that. Buddy, did you have anything that is important about this?
Yep. So school network management is extremely important on the platform because you have to be connected to a school to be able to post jobs to that school, to be able to search students under that search students tab, or be able to attend a fair or search their fair. So recommendation would be to add any school that fits your requirements, your qualifications. So for example, if you're a financial company, no need to add the nursing schools or health schools that are on the platform, but any public university, any university that would meet your requirements, definitely add them. Simply by, if you go over to the More Schools tab really quick, all you got to do with there is click request, much like a follow on Facebook, like a follow on LinkedIn. It's just going to send over requests. Schools will simply add you. If you are declined, I will tell you it's not because they don't want you to recruit there. They're just looking for probably some sort of communication along the way. So definitely just chime in, and you can chime in by clicking into a school profile and just clicking comment. The comment is not a public comment form. It's a comment between the university and the company. So everybody on the university side can see it. So anybody who's a university staff member could see it, and anybody on your company side who's a staff member can see it. But it's a great way to communicate with the school as well. So if you have any questions for Xavier, you can always pop those in the chat, or in the comment box, excuse me, under the schools tab here as well. And that's a way to communicate with the university.
Yeah, just to kind of talk about the approval process a little bit. So I know for our school, employers who connect with Xavier University, who have a trust score of 85% or higher, will automatically be approved. Anything below that, we just want to make sure that you meet just the basic requirements of having an actual website that is not in any type of beta phase. Your email domain matches your organization's or your company's domain. Your place of business is not a residential business, it's an actual place of business. So we do look at all of that information. We Google streets and things like that to make sure it is actually a place of business, because we want to make sure that, you know, the employers that we're connecting or we're allowing to connect with us are really legitimate employers and have our students' best interests at heart. So, but if you are declined, it could be because, like Buddy said, you didn't answer a question or you just didn't meet something. So feel free to reach out to the school and say, hey, you know, I noticed I was declined. Trust scores sometimes can play a factor in that as well. It just depends on the school. But I will say that the trust score, and correct me if I'm wrong, Buddy, but I did learn this at the Handshake conference I went to a couple years ago, that the trust score is an algorithm of how active you are in Handshake. So if you're posting jobs, if you're posting events, hosting events, if you're attending career fairs, the more involved you are and the more that you post and are involved on Handshake, the higher your trust score will go. So.
Yep, spot on. And the only way your trust score really goes down is if you're declined by a bunch of schools at one time. So recommendation here would be to like add, I always give the number of 20 to 50 schools a week. That way you can sort of manage if you have declines come through, you can flip those to approvals. You know, if, for example, your address is incorrect or your website domain may be down, you can have those conversations with Xavier to get that flipped from a decline to an acceptance really quick. And then you can continue to build that trust score up. Trust scores really are not, I don't want to say they're not hard to maintain, but as long as you're doing the right things, as long as your address is up to date, no need to worry with trust score at all.
All right. So I'll move on to contacts. This is very quickly, this is the contacts that are at your organization. So you'll be able to add contacts if you have new employees that come on board that are going to be recruiters. You can add those contacts in here. We also, if you have any trouble, you can let us know. We also can help you with making sure those new recruiters get into the Handshake system. And then moving on to events. So you will be able to see any events that you have going on. You can put a filter on there to include any past events that you've done in case you need to track your engagement with schools. But I did create a demo event. So this is essentially what it looks like. You'll go in and request an event. If you would like to do an information table, an information session, host a virtual interview, it's good to request these events so that way students can see this, because once the request has been approved on our end, students will be able to see all of the events that are being hosted by employers, especially if they're on campus. It allows us to be able to promote to students prior to your arrival of being on campus. So I'm just going to go into edit briefly and show you what it looks like from the perspective of when you're going in to request an event. So you'll want to make sure you put the event name, the format, so whether you're going to be on campus, off campus, or virtual, your contact information, and what type of event it is, and then your start date, end date, and then just a description of what exactly you're going to be doing. So right now, there's not a location in there because what you're going to do is request the event. On our end, when we get the request, we will keep you in a pending status until we secure the location on our end. So say you're looking to target business students, we'll reach out to the Williams College of Business to make sure that table is available. There's a table that sits out in the atrium area, but we want to make sure that nobody else is tabling. So we'll make sure the table is available. Once we get the confirmation that it's available, we'll go ahead and add in the location of where you'll be on campus, and you'll get that approval email letting you know that your requested event has been approved. And also from there, you will receive parking instructions as well as a parking pass. And moving on to on-campus events, interviews, I'm sorry. So this is where you would request an interview schedule. So if you are interested in having Handshake manager interviews, this is where you would go to request an event, request an interview schedule. You can also do this on the home screen as well. But this tab right here is where you would request an interview schedule. I'm gonna go into here because I already created one. And just show you what kind of the details looks like. So when you request the event, you can request either room only or pre-select. Room only means that you're going to manage all of your applicants. And so essentially you're just looking to host your interviews on campus, and you just need to book a room here at Xavier University. So we'll make sure that the room is available And then when you get on campus, we'll walk you back to that interview room suite. But if you choose pre-select is where the Handshake system will manage the applicant tracking system for you. So as students apply to the position, they'll go in, they'll receive notifications throughout your timeline, letting them know that it's time for them to go ahead and sign up for an interview slot and things like that. So I'm gonna go into edit here. Now, one thing I've noticed is that when you do go in to request an interview schedule, choose your preferred timeline, it automatically puts that information in there for you. And so when you hit save and you submit that interview, you're not able to go in and make any changes to the timeline, but feel free to reach out to us because we can go in and make those changes for you. So I actually learned this while I was creating this interview schedule, that it doesn't allow me to choose my timeline. So I have to go in on the back end and do that for you guys. But you can choose your template. So we have different templates available, whether you want to do a half day, whether you want to do a full day, whether you want to do half day morning, half day afternoon. There are different templates available for interview slots. So you'll choose which one is best for you. If you need more slots added or other times, or you need time slots blocked off, we can also do that on our end as well. So this is kind of what it looks like when you're going in to request your interview. You'll want to select your date. It lets you know that we have 4 rooms available. So if you need 1, 2, 3, or 4 rooms, then you would just select however many rooms that you need and then your interview date. And then you will want to make sure that you attach your job to your interview schedule. You can attach it if you're just wanting to get your interview up there. You can still request an interview schedule without a job posted, but we do highly recommend that you attach your job as soon as possible so that students know what position that they're applying for. So you could create a new job, you can copy job details, or use an existing job that's already out there.
Hey, Nadia, recommendation there is when creating a new job, to create the job, not bring one in that you already have posted. Reason behind that is because that job immediately expires after that day of on-campus interviews. So recommendation would be to create, if you have an accounting role, title accounting on-campus interviews. And then obviously you won't delete or expire the other job that is on the platform for that internship or for that job.
We also got a question in the chat about whether this would be something or not that can be done for virtual interviews.
Yes, so you can still utilize Handshake to request on-campus interviews, but you can make those virtual interviews. We actually have a couple pending, or not pending, but we actually have a couple that we've approved that are virtual interviews. So you would just want to make sure that you notate that when you are requesting your interview schedule. And so then you can review everything, make sure everything looks good. Like I said, if you see some issues with your timeline, feel free to reach out to us and we can update that information for you. And then you would just save it. And there it is. So it's already been approved on our end. When we approve it, it will say build out the schedule, and it'll ask us what room to apply to the template. And as you can see, I put in there interview room A. If you have 2 rooms, it'll say interview room A, interview room B. So this will be visible to you as well as students once they receive that notification, letting them know it's time for them to sign up. And as students start to sign up for interviews, you'll be able to see who has chosen what slots.
All right, we have another question in the chat about the virtual interviews. And they're asking, would it just be one link for the whole day? How does that process work? So if you can speak on that a little bit more, I think that would be great. So you'll request your interview date. Say you wanted your interview date to be for tomorrow. Once everything has gone through the pre-select, so Handshake will do everything for you automatically. Once you request your interview schedule, we've approved it, we've built out your template, we check with you to make sure the timeline looks good. From there, you can pretty much just let it go. And as students apply, like I said, you can have those applicants come to you as students apply for the position, or they can come to you once the application end date has hit. They'll all come to you at once.
From there, the employer has a deadline. You do not have to have an employer deadline, but if you choose to, employers can go through and select pre-select or alternate. So there's an option to have students be alternates as well. If you wanted to go that option, you don't have to have alternates either. So you would choose the students that you want to be primary, alternates, or both. And then once the employer deadline has hit and the sign up has opened up, then students will get an email. The students that have been selected to interview will receive an email that says it's time for you to sign up for your slot. So once they pick their slot, it will let them know that they will be able to see that it is virtual. So this is this is your timeline. So let me show you this here. This is your timeline. So you'll have your application period, your start date, your end date for applying, the employer deadline, primary sign up start date, alternate sign up start, and then sign up end date. This is going to be the last day that anybody can sign up for a slot. And then once that has passed, your interview day is here. And from there, once it's time for your interviews, whether that's in person or virtual, students will know to come to your virtual office at 9 a.m. So you'll have that information visible to them to let them know that it is a virtual interview. I hope that answered your question.
We just,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there was actually just a follow-up. Is it just one Zoom or Teams meeting link for their entire schedule, or would they need to be setting separate Zoom or Teams meeting links for each interview? I hope that gave some better voice to that question.
Yes. So I really think that's going to be up to the employer, but to make it easy, I would just say maybe have one team link. We see sometimes that employers do have multiple interviewers. So if it's something where you do like a full day interview with 30-minute schedules back to back, then that's something where you might want to have two different links for interviewing, because you'll have one student interviewing with one interviewer and then the next student interviewing with that interview. But that would be actually on the employer to let the student know that they're going to be in two different links, two different virtual links, if that makes sense. So that's really going to be up to the employer, how many virtual interview links that you have available. It just depends on the template that you choose.
And then just quickly, Nadia, just to kind of chime in, I think it's just important to note that, the Handshake platform offers a convenient way to organize your interview schedule. And the only difference between hosting them in person here at Xavier versus, virtually is just going to be that location where it says room 530 interview room A. That's where it's going to be noted that it's a virtual interview.
All right, so that's an overview of on-campus interviews. Moving on to fairs. So these are just going to be your different fairs that are available at the different schools. So I actually kind of went over this on the home screen, but if you wanted to just go through any fairs that are going on at the different schools, you can see that. If you have a certain school that you're interested in seeing what fairs they have going on, you can type that information, whether it's in the type search, or you can click on the school here. And there are some other filters as well. And that is pretty much the employer overview. Hopefully that information is helpful. Now I can kind of show you what things look like from our perspective really quickly, because I know we're at 12:40, so I want to make sure I leave time for questions and answers at the end if there are any questions. But I'm going to go ahead and switch and show you from just briefly the career services side, kind of what it looks like for us and what we're doing on the back end. So as you can see, this is what our side panel looks like. We have a few more tabs because we manage students and all kind of different things. So this is where we can see how many events are pending. We also can see over here how many appointments and job postings and interview schedules are pending approval. So if I go into events, I can look for any employers who are hosting, any approved employers who are hosting sessions or info table, whether that's on site, virtual. I can check any of those boxes to see what's going on. But as you can see here, this is like employer on site. we have Butler University who will be recruiting for their graduate program. So they'll be on site on October 5th. I can uncheck approved and I can do pending. This is the info table that I created. So from here, I can go in and see the details. As you see, it says approved, decline, and then hosted by Xavier University. So I will go ahead and approve this event. Like I said, we send communication out to whichever college or wherever we're going to have you stationed. We send the communication out to that contact to ask if the space is available, and then we'll go in the back end and put in a location. So I can kind of show you what that looks like. So here's like the room, and I can type in, I'll just say Smith. So I can do Smith Hall Atrium. So this is where we're going to be set up. Once it's been confirmed, I can update that event. And then from there, the location has been added and students will be able to see where you are going to be on campus that day. So this is kind of what it looks like on our end as far as approving interview schedules. As you can see, we have one request right here. It'll stay in pending until we approve it. And then once approved, it'll show up on this end. This is the schedule I created. So once I approve it, it'll ask me to go ahead and build out the schedule for you guys. And then, like I said, if you have any slots you would like to add, or if you'd like for me to change like your interview timeline, I can do that for you. So yeah, this is kind of what it looks like from our perception on the back end. And then as far as the student view, like I said, I'm an alum, so I have a student account as well. But this is what it looks like from the student view. So I'm actually going to go to the home screen so you guys can see what students see. So I'm at Xavier, so I can click here to view my school's resources. I can see what's coming up. So our virtual fall career fair is coming up, jobs that are recommended for me. I can see all of this information. I can favorite some of these if I want to come back to them. So this is kind of what it looks like from the student perspective. My profile, I can update my profile here. And then any messages that I've received, like I said, I messaged myself earlier so that you can kind of see what it looks like. So I just said, hi, Nadia, I'm reaching out because I believe you'd be a great fit. So I feel like I'm talking to myself in this, but so yeah, that's what that looks like when an employer reaches out to a student, and then I can respond back to that recruiter as well. But any events that are going on this week, this month, any career fairs, there's so many different ways that students can go in and just see the different things that are going on and the different job opportunities that are available, whether that's part-time, internships, or full-time opportunities.
Hey, Nadia,
Yes.
This is actually a lot of feedback that we get is that employers don't get to see the student side a lot. So actually, I took that feedback, and me and one of my partners here at Handshake, we actually created a whole training on the student experience and what it's like, how to best engage students, and how to engage students the right way. So I will make sure to share the link in the chat for that as well. It's roughly an hour to 2 hours training, but you do get LinkedIn certification with that as well. So I will make sure to share that along as well in the chat right now.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so that is pretty much it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and go back to the slide. All right. And so I'm going to actually turn it over to Rachel to kind of talk about some of the different ways that you can engage with us here at Xavier University.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nadia has given you a ton of information on the how-to and Handshake, but we just want to give you kind of a heads up of some of the great opportunities that we have available to employers to help engage our students. So one of the things that we offer are information sessions and kind of pre-interview nights. If you're hosting on-campus interviews, either virtually or actually physically in our space, sometimes it's nice to offer an information session to share information about your organization with students. We are welcoming employers to campus. While we decided to go with a virtual career fair this fall, we do welcome employers to come to campus and do a table information session or host interviews in our space. And so it's a nice way to kind of increase that visibility if you are coming to our career fair, or even if you're not, to be able to engage with our students and share information with them. I know that's something that our students are really valued before COVID. They love being able to connect with employers in real time. Sometimes the employers will bring, like Nadia mentioned, swag or snacks. And when you're a college student, hard to say no to either of those things. So those are really great ways to incentivize some of that participation too. We do have career fairs, and I've got a whole slide with all of our upcoming career fairs for the year, so I'll talk more about those then. Those are really great opportunities. Our career fairs typically bring us about over 100 employers and about 500 students. So those are our all major career fairs. We do have a variety of smaller scale events, which I'll talk more about in just a couple seconds. We also offer opportunities for you to engage with students and give them feedback. So if you're interested in doing an event with us and partnering to do some resume reviews or mock interviews, those are things that we welcome. We find that sometimes when we give students feedback, they don't want to listen to us. But when an employer says, hey, your resume needs to be different if you want to catch my attention, or if I can't easily find your GPA or your graduation date, I'm not going to consider you. Or if you give them feedback on those interviewing skills, for some reason, they want to listen to you a little bit more than they do to us. So we do welcome those partnerships if that's something that you're interested. We also do a variety of workshops and panels. So we will reach out to employers to partner for a variety of different events, to have speakers at, actually we have one at our upcoming Recruit XU session that we'll be partnering with an employer for that. But sometimes we'll partner with employers for presentations for clubs and student orgs. We did a salary negotiation workshop this past spring, and we had a partner for that. And then one of my colleagues, Alex Vest, who is also part of the employer relations team, is actually working on a presentation for a club and student org, and we'll be partnering with employer for that. So lots of opportunities to partner there. Again, we say things to students all the time, and having that employer perspective is sometimes really nice and helps them kind of focus in on that. And then last but not least, something that's kind of newer for us is social media. So in the spring, so January 2021, we actually launched our Instagram takeover program. And so we allow employers to take over our Instagram page for a day. We have upwards of 700 followers right now, so it's a pretty good way to engage with our students and folks on campus. Right now, our pre-fair dates are filled, so we gave employers who are registered for the career fair priority, and our career fair is next week, so we're full on takeovers with that. But we are completely open for after the career fair, and those will be Tuesdays. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know, and we would be happy to work with you on that. Additionally, for those organizations that are registered for the career fair, we're giving you the opportunity to create a 1-minute video of your recruiting pitch and share that to us, which I will then post to our Instagram page. In the pitch, we're just asking that you introduce yourself and your organization, as well as some of the majors and positions that you typically hire for, and then answer one question, which, it's pretty open-ended, but if it's something like, what helps someone stand out at a virtual career fair, or how do you plan to spend the 10-minute one-on-one session, a variety of different questions. And those are things that whoever registered your organization for the fair would have received in an email from me very recently. So just another really good opportunity to get, if you are attending the virtual career fair, some face time before that event.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. All right, and then next step. So if you aren't already connected with us on Handshake, please do so at xavier.joinhandshake.com. Or if you haven't requested to connect with us yet, please request to connect with us. You can also schedule a meeting with myself as well as my colleagues to just develop your organization's recruitment strategy. So if you're interested in scheduling a one-on-one meeting, you can do that at xavier.edu/careers/employers. Post any of your internship opportunities, part-time opportunities, full-time opportunities on Handshake. That's going to be your first step, so that when we do any type of outreach to students, we can go ahead and post that job for them to easily be able to apply. request your next information table or pre-interview night. Request your on-campus interview schedule. If that's something that you're interested in, we're happy to host you on campus. And like I said, we have interview room suites available. It makes it a little easier for students to be able to interview, and as well, I think it takes some of the nerves away as well when they're at home kind of on campus. So we do have that option available as well. And then we do have 2 more Recruit XU sessions coming up. So next week is our career fair, so we will not have a session, but September 30th, engaging with today's Xavier students, it is a student panel, so we invite you to that. And then October 7th, we will have our best practices for creating a culture of inclusivity in the workplace. And we have a guest speaker who does this work and will be speaking about that. And then just some important dates to keep in mind if you are looking to schedule any type of information session. We do have fall break coming up. So no classes on September 30th and October 1st. We do have a new president. So the president's installation will be October 28th from 12:45 to 3:45. So no, probably no afternoon on campus recruiting that day, but if you would like to come that morning, you can. And then as we get closer to the holiday season, a lot of our classes will be remote. So just keep some of these dates in mind. This is also out on the career development page on the employer site. And then I'm going to turn it back over to Rachel.
Yes, as promised, some more information about some of our upcoming recruiting events. So every year we have our fall career fair and our spring career fair, and our fall career fair is next week. So a week from today on Thursday, September 23rd from 2 to 5 p.m. Our fall and spring career fairs are open to all majors, all class years. So that includes our current students as well as our alumni. And it's a really great opportunity, like I said, to connect and network. This is something, even if you're not actively hiring at the moment, we do welcome organizations to attend and do some networking with our students, because we know that fall isn't always everyone's hiring timeline, but we do welcome that attendance there. Right now, registration has closed for the event. However, if you are very interested in attending and are willing to take the steps needed in a very prompt fashion, we would be happy to help accommodate that late registration. The reason I say prompt and fashion and all those steps, with virtual career fairs, you do have to set a schedule before students can schedule with you. And it's a little bit different than an in-person career fair where all you really need to do is kind of register and get everything ready and show up, because students won't be able to connect with you until that schedule is set, unlike, that in-person fair. So just a note on that, if you are interested, we'll kind of bug you to get those things done immediately once your registration is complete. But if that's something you're interested, just reach out to one of us. We also have a postgraduate volunteer fair that's coming up in October. This is for years of service for after graduation. So if you're a volunteer program and you host either 1 or 2 years of service for folks who have recently graduated, you are welcome to attend that event. That will be held in person in collaboration with our Center for Faith and Justice. We also host 2 part-time jobs fairs. One will be in October, and then the next one will be in April. These are really for employers who are hiring just for part-time jobs, so not necessarily that internship or full-time position focus that our fall and spring career fairs have, but really good opportunities to connect with students who are either looking to make some money during the school year or even over the summer with that April date. Next, we have our spring career fair. We have not set a date yet for that event, but that will be in February 2022. Again, open to all majors, all class levels, and our alumni as well. Our next 2 big career fairs are Southwestern Ohio and Northern Kentucky Education Career Fair. And this is a collaborative event that's held with 6 other area campuses. So it's a really great way to get in front of our education talent. That will be held Tuesday, April 5th. And the plan is for our campus to host that in the Cintas Center. So that will be an in-person event. And then we also host a Big East virtual career fair that is a collaborative event with all of the Big East campuses. This is typically held in July. And this is a collaborative event. It's also open to all majors, but it is focused on recent graduates. So it's not open to all of our current students. It's really focused on those who have recently graduated. That's something that kind of came out of the pandemic and was a nice way to help us support our recent graduates. And it's something that we'll hope to continue. In addition to these fairs, we do host a variety of smaller, more niche career fairs. So we host an accounting Meet the Firms event, a data and analytics Meet the Firms event, a marketing Meet the Firms event, and then we do have an inclusive networking event that we're looking at having in the spring. So if any of those events are appealing to your organization or would help you reach kind of your targeted talent populations, please feel free to reach out to us for more information about those.
All right, and so I know we have like 5 minutes left. So if there are any questions, please go ahead and ask. And before we wrap up, I do want to send a special thank you to Buddy who joined us from Handshake. Thank you for clarifying, answering any questions that we have. We really appreciate it. So now I will go ahead and open up questions.
There was one in the chat that came in a couple of minutes ago about explaining the process with the interview setup, where you either copy or use an existing job posting, because this person would like to make sure that their jobs are open even past the apply end date.
Yeah, I can clarify here. So you can pull in a job on the on-campus interviews page where you can pull in an existing posted job. However, the day of the on-campus interviews, as soon as the on-campus interviews are done, that job will expire. So that's where the recommendation comes in, just to essentially post the same job just for on-campus interviews. So there's a create job option or pull in an existing job. Recommendation would always be to create a new job specifically for on-campus interviews, because that one will expire immediately after on-campus interviews.
Thanks, Buddy. There was another question in the chat from Whitney. She mentioned that at the beginning of the year, they attended a leadership expo in January, and she's asking if that's something that is still planned for the coming year, since it wasn't mentioned in the events list. I think Whitney's probably referring to the accounting leadership event. Rachel, do you have any insight on that?
Yes, so that's a faculty-led event, but yes, they held it in 2020, so they held it in the midst of year one of the pandemic. So I anticipate that will be held again. Yes, I looped that into accounting meet the firms because they're very similar style events, but yes, I do anticipate that will happen again.
I have a quick question, if that's okay. So Buddy, this is for you. I'm with the enterprise and we have a ton of recruiters. So when we go in to use a template to send a message out to a candidate, there are so many templates in there. I'm not sure why it doesn't just show my templates that I created. Is there something I'm doing wrong or something I can fix there so it's easier?
Great question. The answer is no. I'm sorry, but with that, the reason is we keep all templates in there. A lot of teams share templates. We can do we can work with your customer success manager on this, but you can do you can do a cleanup. So I know the templates are probably in there from forever.
Yes.
So we can do a template cleanup. That's something that we can do on our side with you and help make that look a little bit more manageable, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then my second question was, when I go out to reach out to a candidate, I can see that they've received a message from us. Is there any way for us to view what message we sent?
Can you say it one more time? I'm sorry.
It'll just say message sent from your organization. Yep. But I have no idea what message that may be. Did I reach out to them for accounting, for an internship, for management trainee? Is there a way to read that message so that I know what message we sent?
Not a way to read somebody else's messages, but it does show you.
No, on my own, even if it's my own. Yeah.
Oh, even if it's your own.
Yeah.
You can search the students in your messages, but that would be the only way to search in your messages.
Okay.
Thanks, Nicole, and thanks, Buddy, for chiming in there. That's really helpful. Well, it looks as though we have gotten through all the questions in the chat. It looks like we're down to our last minute. So just one kind of thing I wanted to mention before turning it back over to Nadia. We first off appreciate all of you participating today, and I will be following up with all of you after today's session, and including a link to today's recording. You'll also have the contact information for the employer relations team and a direct link to our scheduling link in case you would like to schedule a personalized session an individual session to come up with a personalized approach for building your organization's brand at Xavier. And I'll be sure to include the link that Buddy shared as well, that kind of takes a deeper dive into the virtual recruiting experience for students as well. But I'll go ahead and turn it over to Nadia for any last remarks.
I don't have any. I just want to say thank you all for participating. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. They claim that I am the handshake guru at Xavier, but I'm also still learning always. So thank you, Buddy, for participating. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me directly.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.